Welcome in Monday night quarterback. I'm bursting, Jerry. I'm bursting. I don't remember the last time we did this, but I'm glad we're back. We decided to pause the show until Mike said it first came back on Mondays. So you saw him hopefully at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then you get to see my ugly face at 7 p.m., right before all the main sporting events take off. And this will be, make a little more sense during football season, Monday night quarterback. Same as Monday morning quarterback, just not as early in the morning. This show is brought to you by the 12-ounce sports ticketing platform. Go to 12ozsports.com/tickets. Get all the best seats to all the best events. And then also, gambling's a big thing these days. MyBookie, the official sponsor of 12-ounce sports, promo code 12OZsports, all caps, no spaces. Deposit bonus up to $1,000. Let's get into it. It's Monday night quarterback. It's 6/9/25. Nice. What we do is just a couple topics each Monday. I kind of give you my Monday night quarterback spin on it. Maybe some insight, maybe some stats. At the end of the show, my producer will come on stage. He's going to throw me an audible because any good quarterback can handle an audible, and then we'll close the show. A nice tight 30 minutes. It's raining outside here in Ohio. I feel like it rains every day. I hope it's nice where you're at. Let's go. I'm going to give you my French Open takeaways. Some of them's just, some stats, some information, but also I have a complaint at the end. It's going to be directed towards you, the fan in the stadium. I got some hang-ups about you folks, but we'll get to that here in just a minute. Now, if you were privileged enough to watch the French Open yesterday, I know my buddy Falcon, who's on the What Just Happened Thursday nights on the network, sat there and watched most of it. He had to drive back to Detroit, so he didn't watch the whole thing. You saw a remarkable French Open. I hope you watched it. Even if you're not a tennis fan, you saw one of the best major finals that have ever taken place on a clay court. First of all, it's the second longest major final in the history of tennis, okay? 5 hours, 28 minutes. Then you also saw Jannik Sinner take a 2-0 set lead, all right? Then Carlos Alcaraz came back. Not only in the third set did Alcaraz face elimination, the fourth set, he faced elimination. Then in the fourth set, they had to go to a tiebreaker. Then the fifth set, he kind of dominated it for a while. He was up 5-3. Jannik Sinner comes back, ties it up. They go to another tiebreaker, to a super tiebreaker. They had to go to 10 instead of 7 to settle the French Open. 5 hours, 28 minutes. It was kind of a blowout in the super tiebreaker, but it was still great tennis. Unbelievable tennis. Sometimes when I watch events like the French Open, I kind of wish all the events were on clay. It just throws in a different element. If you don't, pay enough attention to tennis, I actually play competitively. The ball reacts differently on asphalt than it does grass, than it does clay. And it's just interesting, the dynamic. And then the players can slide. They water the court down in between sets so they don't slide as much. The ball doesn't take off as much. And it's just real interesting to see that dynamic. Now, another thing, I was talking to my young producer during the match, texting, I should say. It's the modern day talk. Texting's the modern day talk. Let's just be honest, all right? When you're my age and you have to enter the dating pool, it's a little awkward because you're used to breaking the ice face to face. I'm struggling with that at 51 right now in the dating pool, trying to break the ice. But I was texting my producer during the French Open. He used to watch tennis a lot as a kid. He doesn't watch it as much as he used to. And he's like, well, who are the big stars? There doesn't seem to be any stars. Oh, no. Even if you're a French tennis fan, I say get into it. The stars are aligning. We have so many good tennis. Novak Djokovic, let me grab my rankings here. Novak Djokovic, who is an absolute legend. I got a text, sorry. Is an absolute legend, and he's only 5th in the world right now. So you got Jannik Sinner was number 1 in the world. He just lost to Alcaraz, who was number 2 in the world. So those are probably going to shift a little bit. Well, that's as of today. So even with the French Open, you have Zverev. I've seen Zverev play Medvedev live and in person in the third row. Unbelievable talent. Thank you for the producer to bring up Alcaraz. That's who just won the French Open. You got Djokovic. I already mentioned him. Draper from England. You got Musetti from Italy. Fritz and Paul from America. Rune, I think that's Sweden. De Minaur from Australia. People like Tiafoe are not even in the top 10. Rublev, Ruud. I mean, Dimitrov. I'm telling you, tennis is stacked right now. If you've been a French tennis fan and not really watched it too closely, that's my Monday Night Quarterback. Get into tennis as we gripe on sports networks and sports talk shows about some of the things that irritate us from the mainstream sports. Tennis is pretty pure, okay? Golf used to be pretty pure, and then we got into the live golf, and then we're changing the FedEx standings and how we do the fine. Like, thank goodness golf. I'm going to go on a tangent now. See, I'm going to go off the rails. Golf finally went back to using some logic. If you remember, the FedEx Cup standings determined if you started 10 under par in the championship. That doesn't make any sense. You haven't even hit one golf ball, you're 10 under par. But for all intents and purposes, tennis is pretty pure still. Nothing really has changed from the way the game's supposed to be played. So I'm telling you, if you're a French tennis fan, get into it. It's really good action, a lot of top players. And again, it's one of those rare sports where they really haven't changed much about the rules. All right, it's still the same game. Even golf, like I said, they've changed a lot of things. You got live golf, you got the PGA. This guy can't play in this event because he went to live golf. That's not really going on in tennis. Now, I'm going to get to my gripe before my first break. The fans at tennis matches, and I noticed this in Cincinnati 2 years ago when I was at that event, but the French Open, and it gets worse as we go. Again, the match was 5.5 hours. So if the people are partaking, maybe having some mixed drinks, maybe that's an element. I don't know. Maybe they're tired. Maybe they're restless. Maybe they know they're watching greatness and they want to be a part of it. Everybody wants to make it about themselves. Several times, Alcaraz and Sinner had to stop their serve to wait for people to stop screaming from the upper decks. Stop screaming. Nobody's there to listen to you scream. Nobody's there for you. We're there for those two elite athletes. Stop yelling at the top of your lungs when the judge has already said, merci. That means please shut the hell up. Okay? And you got these idiots in the upper deck. Nobody cares. We're trying to watch an elite tennis match. So for God's sake, shut up or get out. I get so tired of this. It's every tennis match, at least the big ones. Wimbledon, right? US Open, French Open. You get later in the match, the guy's ready. One time Sinner had the ball in the air and had to stop because somebody's rah, rah, rah. Shut up. I didn't tune in for 5.5 hours. Yeah, I'm crazy. I watched the entire match. I didn't tune in for 5.5 hours to watch a guy have to stop his serve in mid-serve until you, who's acting like a child, finally shut up. All right? I'm not going to shut up, but I am going to take a 20-second break. This is Monday Night Quarterback, June 9th, 2025. I am El Jefe. We'll be right back. Producer, roll it. Welcome back, Em. I am El Jefe. It's Monday Night Quarterback. I'm your quarterback every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you saw Authentic New York Coffee, you can get that at a discount if you go to 12ouncesports.com/coffee. They give you a break just because you came because of us. I love my coffee. I drink it right up until about 6 p.m. Otherwise, I can't function, but I am old, and I got my geek glasses on tonight, not my cool glasses. Some people think these are the cool glasses, though. Folks, the business of pro sports. There's a lot I could talk about here, okay? I don't know where to begin, but a lot of news is breaking, mostly in football. You know, we're getting into OTAs. You know, you got, a lot of moves being made, guys going here, getting traded here. But it goes for all pro sports that's team-oriented, okay? And before the first break, even golf-oriented. It is, after all, a business, all right? The NFL is a business. The Pittsburgh Steelers is another business. They work together, all right? Or the Steelers work under the NFL. But at the end of the day, it's a business. Do you know? Yours truly has a business degree. You know what a business's main focus is? Their number one objective: to increase value for the shareholders. Okay? So each business has a different way of getting to that goal, all right? Or different thoughts on how to get to that goal. You know, in the retail world, maybe it's pirate or trumpeting social issues, okay? In the NFL, it's going to be some things that you, the fan, don't like, but they're trying to increase their value. Now, you could argue their value always increases no matter what they do. Look at the Cleveland Browns. I am a Browns fan. They haven't won anything and they've increased in value, but the main goal of the organization isn't to win games. I know that's tough to hear. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. But it really isn't that important for an NFL team to win. It's important that they create buzz, okay? And how do you create buzz? You're the Pittsburgh Steelers and you sign Aaron Rodgers. Is this going to win them the Super Bowl? I don't think so. Producer, I have a graphic, babe. Come on, help me out over here. Wake up. He's probably looking at TikTok. Okay, the Steelers went out and got Aaron Rodgers. All right, he's over 40. He had a tough stretch with the New York Jets. Now, you could say, well, he didn't have that many weapons. The Jets aren't that good. But they went out and got Devontae Adams for him, okay? Still didn't succeed. So you might be thinking, why did the Steelers do this? They have quarterbacks. Well, a few things I'm going to tell you. One of the main reasons why, if I were the Steelers, I would do it is, look, we're all talking about it. Every talk show today was talking about it. It's created buzz. Buzz means probably revenue to the Steelers. They're going to sell some Aaron Rodgers jerseys. They might sell extra tickets. But what else are they going to do? Okay, now they have a veteran, probably a future Hall of Famer, in the quarterback room with their young quarterbacks. They don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be around for 5 years, but how much can their young quarterbacks learn from him? Then they're thinking, well, what if he strikes lightning in the bottle? What if it's the old Aaron Rodgers all of a sudden? Not the Jets Aaron Rodgers, but the Green Bay Packers Aaron Rodgers. It's a win-win for the Steelers. Yeah, they forked over $10 million, but we're talking about NFL teams that are worth several $billion. So if I hear Steelers fans saying, why the heck did we do this? It doesn't matter what you think. I know, again, that sounds weird. The teams only want you to buy merchandise and tickets. They don't need you to agree with their moves, just like Tom Thibodeau and the Knicks. All right, you're like, well, the Knicks got to the Eastern Conference Finals. Well, obviously the organization thought our best chance of growing as a team in value is finding a different coach. Look, we're all talking about the Knicks today. They're not in the NBA Finals, but we're talking about the Knicks. Who's going to be their next coach? Could it be the old Villanova coach? Could it be this guy? I don't know. It's creating buzz. And again, Cleveland Browns fans. I'm a huge Cleveland Brown fan. Fans are up in arms that Nick Chubb they let him just kind of ride off into the sunset. Now he's going to the Texans, a team that's kind of fleeced us lately, all right? They dealt us Deshaun Watson. Now they took Nick Chubb. But again, the organization is a business. They have to maximize their value, and that comes with different ideas than maybe what the fans have. They're probably thinking, we have a stacked running back room. Nick Chubb, great. Probably should have been a Hall of Famer. I don't know if he will be now that he got hurt. But they're probably thinking, we have a very full running back room, and we have a guy whose knee is now compromised, okay? We're already bursting at the seams on the cap space. We're just going to let him go. Fans are like, why would you do that to this guy? They don't dislike Nick Chubb. They don't think Nick Chubb stinks. They think this is the best way the organization can grow financially, mainly, and then, hopefully with wins. It's always hopefully with wins because you're never guaranteed wins in any major sport in the pros, no matter what moves you make. Okay? So that's what the team's thinking. So I'm thinking, fans, it gives us something to talk about. I run a sports network. I should be okay with it, but I just don't understand why fans get so upset and waste all this energy. They're going to do it. They're not taking a fan poll. Should we do it? So when you root for your pro sports team, just remember, their number one goal is to continue increasing that value. And you also have to remember that sometimes that's going to include decisions that you wouldn't make. There's only one way you can get around that. You can root for a different team, or you can start getting yourself through the educational system to where you can become a GM yourself. That's all I got to say about that. The business of pro sports, sometimes it's heartbreaking. It makes us angry. We don't understand it, but that's what the Monday Night Quarterback's trying to impart to you today. It's a business, no different than Walmart, Starbucks, Cleveland Browns. They're just trying to increase their value. I'm trying to maximize my time, so I got to get to a break. We got 3 more topics before the audible. The next 3 topics are a little shorter. Producer, roll that commercial. A betting sponsor, but not my bookie, a different one. We'll be right back.
BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12-ounce sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 12OZ and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sports book. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
Welcome back in. Thank you for tuning in to Monday Night Quarterback. I am El Jefe, the leader of 12-ounce sports. Before we get into our second half of the show here, or maybe later than second half, I just want to remind you the Box Lacrosse League, we've partnered with the Rocky Mountain Raptors. First game, July 12th, live right on the 12-ounce sports network YouTube, at 12OZ Sports on YouTube. And then the Montana Lacrosse League's coming up in late September. That's where we all fly out. The Rocky Mountain Raptors is a remote broadcast. We all fly out and do a professional broadcast over 2 weekends. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube, get notifications, and don't miss any of this great action. And we're going to have more sports partners in the near future. Speaking of sports, because that's all we talk here, youth sports, specifically parents in youth sports, and taking coaching roles. Now, they have to, right? There's as many youth sports. I could go on a tangent about there's too many youth sports. There's too many travel teams. These kids need to be kids at some point. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about these overbearing, over-hovering parents that become coaches, and they don't have any emotional intelligence themselves, and they're coaching 10-year-olds, okay? Producer, play this video clip for a second.
Don't you ever touch my ball. Don't you ever get back.
Okay, cut the tape. Thank you, producer. You take that off the screen. So what we had here was a youth soccer game, which is oversaturated in America, by the way. Okay, no offense to you soccer. I'm a soccer fan. I love soccer. It's oversaturated. It's just, almost every my daughter played soccer. She has no idea what the rules are. Okay, she doesn't watch it. She's an adult now, but when she played, it was just something to do. Her and her friends ran around the field, picking daisies. It's just oversaturated. It's just too much, but it's easy to play. You just need a ball and two nets, and then every kid in town can play it. I understand that part, but now do they vet these? It's got to be run by an organization. That soccer organization, it's got to have some kind of governing body. That's clearly a dad who saw his son get bumped. That's legal in soccer. You can bump up high, and then he attacks the kid. Now, luckily, he's been arrested. He's going to do time. But like, if you're watching this and you're one of those parents that, there's theories of why these parents are like this. I think it's a lack of emotional intelligence. You can chime in if you're watching on YouTube or X. What do you think it is? A lot of people think it's, well, that parent probably stunk as an athlete, so they're over cheering their kid, and then if the kid has adversity, they swoop in to try to save the kid. Well, guess what? You're not going to be able to do. You can't do that your kid's entire life. So if there's even one person watching this that maybe I'll save from this embarrassment and this criminal activity is, you have to. It's 2 10-year-olds. You're an adult. Like, if your son got up and shoved the player back, I would be okay with that. It's 2 10-year-olds going at it. But you're a grown-ass man. First of all, what are you getting so upset about? Your kid's fine. It was just a common foul in soccer. These parents they're becoming an issue. If they're not in the crowd threatening the ref or the ump, they're coaching. They shouldn't even be honest. They shouldn't be around kids. They're on the sideline attacking kids. Did you see the high school girls basketball coach grab the girl by the ponytail? Where are these cretins coming from? We got to get parents out of youth sports. That's my fix. No parents are allowed in youth sports. It's just the youth, and that's it. I want a 10-year-old coach, 10-year-old players, 10-year-old refs. Put them in charge. These parents are completely out of control and unhinged. And we got to change subject, or I'm going to become unhinged. Producer, give me the next one. Fans calling pro athletes soft. Now, I'll tell you something. My producer backstage is somewhat guilty of this because he didn't think the Cavs players were really that banged up. Well, bring up the graphic of Darius Garland. Darius Garland just went under major toe surgery. Nobody reported this during the playoffs, okay? Playoffs. He's going to be out 3 to 4 months. He had major toe surgery. I always find it funny when fans claim a pro athlete is soft. Now, are some of them through history soft? Yes, but 99% of them are, I guarantee you, not soft. All right, I played Division III football. I saw, and that's nothing, to the common person hears that and they're like, oh, you're barely out of high school. But I'm telling you, these pro athletes are not soft. Jerome Bettis, there was a documentary on him, or like a 30 for 30 on ESPN, his final year in the NFL. The dude couldn't walk normal until like Friday. So his last year in the NFL, he didn't even practice during the week because every play in the NFL was like a car wreck, all right? These guys in the NBA are banging. We just see common fouls, or we just see some bumping on our couches eating our chicken wings, or our chips and dip. These are major collisions these guys are having, all right? This guy, Darius Garland, played on a broken toe, and I saw fans all over Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. Oh, this Cavs team's soft. This Cavs team's soft. I'd like to see you walk to the fridge with a broken toe. You sure as hell ain't going to work. You're taking disability. This guy played a whole series with a broken toe. All right? Listen. If you can't see your toe, if you can't touch your toes, you're not allowed to call a pro athlete soft. That's the new rule from the Monday Night Quarterback. If you disagree, you better chime in now on YouTube or X and debate me. New rule, not to steal it from Bill Maher, but new rule. If you can't touch your toes, you're not allowed to call a pro athlete soft. That's it. If you can't run at full speed 10 yards away from a brick wall and run into the brick wall, if you can't recover within, let's say, 2 weeks, you can't call pro athletes soft. producer, for future use. We have a major storm outside the studio. I apologize. The video went out. It's still kind of glitching. Producer, you don't have to go to the intro song if we have to cut the commercial real quick. All right. I'm done with the new rule. Last subject. I'm sorry about the glitch. We're having major storms in Ohio. I can't go one day in Ohio without a major thunderstorm. Not one day. It's getting me upset. All right, paper thin pitcher, Clayton Kershaw. All right, I'm not impressed, buddy. This is ridiculous. They played, Michael, make the graphic big and me small. He was playing the Cardinals. This guy, I'm gonna come unglued. This guy. Now take the ticker off, please. I want you to be able to read the quote on there. Okay, Clayton Kershaw got all upset because the Cardinals played a video of them hitting a home run off of him in 2014 in the playoff series. And he calls it Bush League. But then you could see his last quote. I'm going to go off screen. He said, I don't expect anything less from these guys, so it's no worries. No. Mr. Paper Thin Kershaw. There are worries. You brought it up. You called it Bush League. You're complaining. Dude, it's a video from 11 years ago. Maybe this is why you struggle in the playoffs. It's easy to get into your head. You're paper thin, babe. What is this? A regular season game, you play for the team with the highest payroll. You're going to easily make the playoffs. And you're whining because they're trying to get their sparse crowd, because the Major League Baseball crowds are smaller and smaller. The Pirates, my Pirates, is just embarrassing the other night. And you're whining about it, and then you're saying, "Oh, no worries." What do you mean, no worries? You brought it up. You're complaining. Come on, dude. Gotta have thicker skin than that to be a pitcher in Major League Baseball. All right, we almost got through this unscathed. I was worried. I didn't say anything at the beginning of the show, but we did have a major storm. Actually, my producer's in Georgia. He had a major storm too. Maybe God just is mad at us right now. I don't know why he'd be mad at 12 Ounce Sports. It looks like we're working now. We apologize for the glitch. I was going off, too, on new rules. That was a terrible time for the glitch. All right, it's time for the audible. I am the quarterback. I'm going to get an audible from my producer. If he's awake back there, for God's sake. Are you coming?
Oh, I was wondering if you want to do the tickets for commercial. We're good. How are you?
No ticket commercial because we glitched and we had to cut to an unscheduled commercial.
That's
I'm
right.
fine. I'm sweating a little bit. I didn't turn the air on before the show.
You better be sweating real good.
You seemed extra excited for this audible. You still haven't stumped me yet, but I'm worried about this one.
Well, I know it's a topic you don't normally like in sports in general, but I was thinking about the French Open. And
can I cut you off? That is the most boring background for this audible. So we're gonna work on that for next week.
we ain't done. Well, no, you ain't done yet. You ain't done yet.
Okay, go ahead.
So the French Open. First of all, I love your point about the fans being stupid, but that's not where I'm going with this. When watching Carlos Alcaraz against Jannik Sinner, it felt like just two guys who are like amazing, like just who are going to be here for 15 years. I know Jannik Sinner, I like him a lot because he's taking down some big rigs, just took out Djokovic. I know you don't like GOAT talk, but in tennis, I don't think we do it enough. Who is the greatest men's player of all time? And do any of these two guys have a chance in your mind as a tennis fan, as a tennis player? What do you think any of these two guys can make it, and how close can they get? And who is the tennis GOAT?
So I love that question because we just actually had that conversation with our coach at the tennis club not long ago. But I want to bring something up real quick because my coach was telling me. So a lot of people will say, I didn't see the name right away. A lot of people say Rafa Nadal, Roger Federer, or Novak Djokovic are the three main people mentioned. I will point out that Carlos Alcaraz has now become only one of three tennis players in the history to start out 5-0 in majors when he makes the final. He's never lost a major final yet. But my tennis coach was pointing out to me that there was another name. There it is, Rod Laver, Laver. Rod Laver played in an era where you weren't allowed to compete at the top level, like the paid, where you could acquire championships and accolades
Right.
after the age of 30. So they changed that rule, I think, in the 70s. Rod Laver played into the late 60s. So he won a lot after that, but he didn't qualify for major tournaments because he was past the age. So it's not like you could say, well, Wilt Chamberlain played against shorter people.
Yeah.
It literally, he wasn't allowed to compete because of his age. So I don't know how you're going to classify one. Now, I know Rafa Nadal probably was the scariest. And if he didn't get hurt, he'd probably have more titles. He had a lower leg injury late in his career. And I mean, he played up until last year, I think, but he was not the same person. Roger Federer, he played to an old age too. He was the famous one-handed backhander, which is how I play. But I would say, and Novak Djokovic has just got crazy stats himself. Now, Carlos Alcaraz is only, I think, 23 years old. He's 5-0 in his first 5 major finals. If he can make a run at 37, 38 like Rafa Nadal did, we might be having a new conversation about the GOAT. But I went through the top 10, top 15 list. He's got, I would say, this would be actually my argument when you want to bring up the GOAT of tennis. I don't think you can name one because, again, Rod Laver kind of got screwed on the age restriction. But I want to say, if you want to talk about modern tennis, my lifetime, mid-70s on, I would say if somebody from this current crop emerges 15 years from now as the GOAT conversation, I'd say they had a tougher path. I think pound for pound, the top 20 right now is better than it was in the 80s. Okay.
Right.
Everybody knows Jimmy Connors, John McEnroe, Roger Federer, but I don't think they were 20 deep on elite players. Okay. Tennis was still the pro level, tons of good tennis players, Boris Becker, people like that, but 20 deep elite, I don't know. And you could argue that we're at least about 15. Francis Tiafoe, at times, looks like the best player in the world. I don't know what happens to him in matches that go, 4 or 5 sets. It's almost like he runs out of steam. But the top 15 right now in tennis is just absolutely stacked. So I don't think my point is I think you have to pick eras in tennis. Unfortunately, you can't do a greatest of all time because the guys in the 50s, 60s, they weren't allowed to compete in the top events after they hit 30. And I didn't know that until last week when my coach told me.
And just for the record, for those who don't know, he never knows what my topic is going to be. But Jannik Sinner, 2 of the shots he made, even Alcaraz made a 1 or 2. I'm like, man, that just doesn't seem normal. Doesn't seem normal to me.
The stuff these guys do is so impressive that if you watched the French Open, John McEnroe even said it.
Yeah.
These modern tennis players can't go to the net as much as they want, as much as they went to the net in the 80s and 90s, because these guys hit so hard and so precise, they'll beat you every time. So if you notice, Alcaraz had his little forehand spinner. Sinner, he doesn't spin it very often, but these guys are really just hitting winners. These guys are so good. They've changed how the game's played because in the 80s or in 90s, the guys charged the net a lot. McEnroe pointed that out in the French Open. They don't charge the net nearly as much as they used to because they can't. They're going to get beat if they do it.
Underrated sport. McEnroe even said he said I'm a fan at this point. This is incredible.
Yes. All right. Well, there we go. Good audible. I like it. Good discussion. Monday Night Quarterback, June 9th, 2025. We'll be back next Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for tuning in. Rome is in the morning at 7 a.m.